I forgot that was even an option.
This is a joint Government Operations and Public Safety Committee meeting. We're going to review and recommend action regarding new CIP projects, P342001 on data storage. And Dr. Torregas and Ms. Farag have prepared a packet for us. I do see a list of people here. It includes Mr. Klinger, Laura Chase, Dave Seaman, Sonny Siegel, Michael Nuppel, Trevor Labaugh.
Pretty much everybody in the audience.
Everybody in the audience
Everybody in the audience
can
is
join
ready for the
us.
panel. Right.
Excellent. All right, so who's going to tee us off and explain what our decision points are? Ms. Frog.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is a new CIP project for master lease in the digital evidence data storage. This issue came up last year across several public safety departments. This one is addressing, there was a problem with large data evidence storage, and a lot of this is being driven by body-worn cameras, the in-car videos, but they also inform me that it can be evidence such as cell phones, garage cameras, parking garage cameras, pretty much any type of video evidence you can think of, and it's being accumulated at a massive rate. And there's a chart available for your review on page 3 that's showing how much storage is accumulating each year, and they estimate by 2021 to have 600 terabytes per year. So the county executive has had a working group to look at this over a long term, to find a long-term solution to this, because what we've had in place was not set up for now the new body-worn cameras that everybody has, every police department has. So they came up with some stopgaps last year to fund different public safety budgets that needed a stopgap measure just to get through FY19, and they were going to come up with a larger solution moving forward. This is more of another kind of stopgap solution. They're going to purchase hardware to store on for $750,000. DTS is going to manage it, and this will help the JustWare case management program for the state's attorney's office so that they can take the data from these several different sources. A lot of it's on evidence.com, which is the Axon system that we get from body-worn cameras from Montgomery County Police Department, and they've got in-car video. They also have interview room camera footage also from the same vendor. And it's taking that from cloud storage, it downloads to JustWare, and this is where the state's attorneys can review it and prepare it and get ready to use it for prosecuting during different trials. DTS is here, so is the state's attorney, including their information systems person. If you have any of the technical questions, at this point we're looking at council staff's recommending approval of this. They're still looking at a longer-term solution, and maybe if they could give the joint committee an update on what they think they're going to be able to do moving forward.
That would be great. So who would like to give us an update on how to move forward? Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm Dieter Kling. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for DTS. I'll just start to kind of recap. Susan made a very good summary of where we are. We are right now still working in the process of trying to address the immediate concerns that this is a tactical request, and the good news is whatever we get here we can reuse for other purposes down the road once we get a longer term solution in place for the digital evidence itself. But right now the way that the system is architected, it requires to have on-site storage, and so that we need to meet those needs to meet the business needs of the state's attorney's office. And I can let Mike talk about long term.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Mike Knuppel. I'm the Program Director for PSSM and also the Chief Data Officer for the county. We're really, as Dieter mentioned, we've broken this up into really two groups. One is looking at the tactical solution. What do we need to do in order to keep the systems operational and running? We're estimating for the next 1 to 2 years, and this solution does allow us to do that. In parallel with that, we also have a team looking at the strategic plan where we'll look at a final solution that incorporates all the elements of video that's stored, identifies what requirements are needed, what potential process flows may need to be changed. And we've gone through several work sessions, and we actually have a draft strategic plan right now in internal review, and we hope to share that shortly with folks. So a lot of work's been going on.
Great. All right, Vice President Katz and Chair of Public Safety Committee.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. The one question that I have is about the data retention. I mean, you're in one of the on the last one on page 4, number 5. it says that in the state's attorney's office, some of the requirements are 3 years, some are 7, and some are 50 years. What is what, and how much do we have in the 50-year range? Tell John I'd like to see some of his papers from that far back. Anyhow, go ahead.
Good afternoon. The 50 years is limited to cases that involve homicide and rape and perhaps a few other designated cases along the way. Just in the past 2 years, I think we came and spoke about the Unger decision in the Court of Appeals to you all that brought back, I think there were 14 or 15 heinous crimes from the 50s, 60s.
Yeah, I do remember.
That we had to re-prosecute now. So because of that particular case, and also because we must retain our files for the term of a case when somebody's serving a sentence and they serve life sentences, which is usually 30 or more years, plus any post-conviction proceedings after that, which is what happened with Unger, the Unger decision. We thought that instead of maintaining them indefinitely, which is what we did prior to this digital evidence storage, we marked them for 50-year destructions. So it's a finite number of cases. I mean, fortunately, still in Montgomery County, we don't have huge numbers of homicides and rapes. But as far as the other retention policies, I can kind of turn it over and introduce you to Dave Seaman, who I think you all know from
We do.
other hearings as
Dave,
well,
yeah.
who's the director of our IT.
All right, but before you, so the files from 50 years ago, that would all be paper. I mean, so how do you, so you just go through and copy it? What do you do with that?
Good afternoon. I'm David Seaman. I am the Director of Technology for the State Attorney's Office. We only remove actually the data behind the case. We never really delete the case itself for historical purposes, statistics, and to make sure we have it. The Trustware system is only 10 years, well, it's 10 years old. I shouldn't say only, but it's 10 years old. And most of the retentions that we would like to implement really wouldn't take effect just yet because, as you can see, most of the cases that we probably try are 7 years old before you could do anything. And most of the video and all the storage really only started about 3 or 4 years ago. So you can see how the retention is in place. September 15th of 2015 was when it was implemented. We do follow the retention schedule of the circuit and the District Court of Maryland policy. So we've taken this, which no one really understands, into a document that looks like this. So that's just
Does anybody understand that?
just of ease of use. And the DTS's IGIS program group helps us with that process of deletion or destruction of records.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councilmember Friedson.
Thank you. Just a question about you mentioned earlier the idea that, while this is only hardware to kind of a stopgap measure to get through the next 2 years effectively, that you could use this equipment moving forward. Could you explain that a little bit? Could that be used universally to no matter what?
Correct. This is server storage that's on, will be in our data center, and that can be accessed by various servers that we have in the data center. So if a need arises, I'm making this up, say, the ERP system runs out of space in 2 years, we could use this storage to supplement that need.
And that storage is not available currently with other capacities that we have or with this?
Correct. We are at the limits of our capacity at this time.
How does that comport? Because and unless I'm missing something, I thought that in the last packet that we had, council staff had suggested that we did have an existing vendor with more storage or unlimited storage. Could you clarify that for me?
Certainly. That discussion was, the question was asked, what cloud vendors are providing us storage right now? And we do have storage provided by Microsoft through our Office 365 subscription. So each person gets unlimited storage on their OneDrive. So, but that for each one of those accounts for each one of those individuals. In addition, we're also using, we mentioned earlier, the Axon product that the police uses for the body-worn cameras. The actual capture and the initial storage of that data is in the cloud provided by Axon. And again, the licensing for that is for each camera that we license from them, there's unlimited storage that goes along with it, but there's an annual cost for those cameras, just like there's an annual cost for the Office 365 subscription. So those are storage available to those specific applications. They are not storage generally available, and they are not here on premise where we need it.
So even if we move from JustWare, the product that's being used now, we'll be able to use these products
Correct.
that we're paying the $750,000
Yeah, and I can,
for.
actually, it's something that popped in my head. Just had a meeting yesterday with DGS where they have a lot of CAD drawings and they're looking at additional space. We can accommodate that right now, but again, that'll be something long-term that if we need this additional space, we can use for.
Great. Well, I was uncomfortable with the idea of spending $750,000 for 2 years' worth of equipment that we may not need moving forward. But if you're
Yes.
telling us that we're going to be able to use this moving forward for other purposes, then I feel a lot more comfortable. So thank you for clarifying that.
All right, I don't see any other lights. So without objection, I think we should accept the recommendation from council staff.
If I can, the one thing that you haven't yet heard specifically said is that each department, not only, and this is to OMB as well, each department over and above the SAO that we have here today should be thinking about retention strategies. Because without retention strategies, we're going to run out of any space that we can afford to buy. So retention strategy is a must, and it's true across. We have school buses that are taking video cameras. We have CCTV cameras for security purposes. A lot of our life has moved over to digital. If we if we capture it, we have to store it attitude, it's not a wise one. And the only way to do that is by insisting that retention strategies be developed, and I just hadn't heard that yet, but there you have it.
All right, so without objection, I think we will accept this particular recommendation and then have subsequent conversations regarding retention strategies, which we did have before as well. So need to continue to do that. Thank you. We're adjourned.